The council chamber was massive. It floated in space, a station built by 47 different alien species. Each species had their own section, their own seat, their own voice. For 3,000 years they had kept peace in the galaxy. They made the rules. Everyone followed them. Everyone except the humans. Ambassador Sorahan stood in the center of the chamber. She was alone. Around her, thousands of alien representatives watched from their platforms. Some had scales, some had fur, some looked like floating clouds of gas. All of them were angry. Sora kept her face calm. She had practiced this. Stay calm, show no fear. That was what her training taught her. But inside, her heart was beating fast. She knew what was coming. High Chancellor stood up. He was tall, covered in silver fur with eyes like a cat. The Empire had ruled the largest part of the galaxy for 3,000 years. They had the biggest military, the most ships, the most power. His voice echoed through the chamber. Humanity has gone too far, he said. His translator made his words sound cold and mechanical. You have been in space for only 80 years. 80 years. Yet you spread like a disease. You take planets. You dig up resources. You build colonies everywhere. You ignore our laws. You ignore our borders. Sora took a deep breath. We have only settled in unclaimed systems. We follow the colonization treaties. You follow nothing. Another alien stood up. This one looked like a giant insect. Your species is dangerous, violent, aggressive. We have studied your history. You wage war on yourselves constantly. You have weapons designed only to kill your own kind. What kind of species does that? A species that survived, Sora said quietly. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted in languages she didn't understand. Her translator buzzed in her ear, trying to keep up. Most of it was anger. Some of it was fear. Raised his hand. The chamber went silent. The Galactic Council has voted, he said. The decision is final. Humanity must abandon all colonies beyond the Sol system. You will return to your home planet. You will submit to galactic supervision. You will limit your population. You will destroy all military vessels. These terms are not negotiable. Sora felt her stomach drop. This was worse than they expected. They wanted to cage humanity, lock them in one system, one planet, control their future. And if we refuse, she asked. His eyes narrowed. Then we will force you. The Empire, the Dominion, and the Praxis Collective have formed a joint military force. We have 17,000 warships ready to move. You have 72 hours to accept these terms. 17,000 ships. Earth had maybe 500 warships total. Most of those were defending the colonies. This wasn't a negotiation. This was a threat. Sora looked around the chamber. She saw it in their faces. They thought this was over. They thought humanity would surrender. They thought Earth was weak. They had no idea what they were doing. I need to contact my government, Sora said. You have 72 hours, repeated. Choose wisely, human. The transmission to Earth took 20 minutes. Sora sat in her small ship, orbiting the council station. She recorded her message and sent it through the relay network. Then she waited. Commander received the message on the bridge of the Indomitable. It was Earth's largest warship, a carrier that held 200 fighters. He watched Sora's face on the screen. She looked tired. They want us to surrender everything, she said in the recording. All colonies, all ships, they want to control us. They're threatening war. Felt his jaw tighten. He had fought in the colony wars, back when humans were still fighting each other over Mars and the asteroid belt. He knew what war looked like. He knew what humans could do when pushed. He forwarded the message to Earth Command. Admiral sat in her office deep under the Pacific Ocean. Earth Defense Command was built into an underground bunker protected by 3 miles of rock and ocean. She had been expecting this. The reports from the frontier had been getting worse. Alien ships harassing human transports, trade restrictions, propaganda about the dangerous humans. She watched Sora's message 3 times. Then she called the president. President Jinnah listened in silence. When the message ended, she sat back in her chair. She had been president for 6 years. She had hoped to avoid this. Humanity had only just reached the stars. They were still learning how the galaxy worked. But now the galaxy was forcing their hand. "What are our options?" she asked. Admiral pulled up a display. "If we surrender, we're done. They'll control everything. Our population, our technology, our future. We'll be prisoners in our own system. And if we fight? We're outnumbered 30-1, maybe worse, but..." Paused. "They don't understand us. They think we're weak because we're young. They think our history of war makes us primitive. They don't realize what it means." President Jinnah understood. Humanity had been fighting wars for thousands of years. They had perfected it, every weapon, every tactic, every strategy. They had fought each other in every environment, on land, in the sea, in the air, in space. They had made war into a science. And now someone else wanted to fight them. "Send the message to Ambassador Han," President Jinnah said. "Tell her our answer is no." Sora received the response exactly 72 hours after the ultimatum. She didn't need to read it. She already knew what it said. Humans didn't surrender. They never had. She flew back to the council station. This time she wasn't alone. 6 human warships jumped into the system with her, not an attack force, a statement. The council chamber was full again, looked annoyed. "Have you come to accept our terms?" he asked. Sora floated to the center of the chamber. She looked up at all the aliens, all the species who thought they could threaten Earth. "No," she said simply. The chamber erupted again. This time it was different. Some aliens looked shocked, some looked angry, a few looked scared. Stood up, his fur seemed to stand on end. "You refuse. You would choose war over peace." "You didn't offer peace," Sora said. Her voice was calm but loud. "You offered slavery. You threatened us. You tried to take away everything we built, everything we are." "You are primitives," shouted. "You have been in space less than a century. We will crush you." Sora smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. "You can try," she said. "But let me tell you something about humans. We come from a planet that tried to kill us for millions of years. Ice ages, plagues, predators, starvation, disaster after disaster. We survived all of it. Then we spent the last 10,000 years fighting each other. We know war. We know violence. We know how to survive." She looked directly at. "You have no idea what you just started." The Galactic Council voted. It was unanimous: war. The Armada began to move. 17,000 ships headed toward human space. They expected a quick victory, maybe a few weeks of fighting. Then humanity would surrender. They were wrong. In the outer colonies, alarms started going off. Colonists looked up at the sky. They saw the alien ships appearing, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Any other species would have evacuated, would have run. Humans started loading weapons. Colonel Menu Park stood on the surface of New Colony. It was a mining world, barely habitable. The air was thin. The gravity was heavy. The temperature was freezing. Only humans could work there. He watched the alien fleet approach on his display. His soldiers stood ready behind him. Miners had grabbed weapons. Engineers had rigged explosives. Even the farmers had shown up with guns. Menu activated his comm system. His voice broadcast to every human in the system. "They think we'll run," he said. "They think we'll surrender. Let's show them what humans do when someone threatens our home." The first alien ships entered orbit. The war had begun. The battle commander's name was OK. He had fought in 47 battles across the galaxy. He had never lost. He looked at his tactical display and felt confident. Below him was New, a human mining colony. His sensors showed maybe 3,000 humans. He had 50,000 troops on his ships. This would be easy. "Send the landing craft," he ordered. "Take the colony. Minimize casualties. We want prisoners, not bodies. The first wave of landing craft descended through the atmosphere. OK watched on his screen. Everything was going according to plan. Then the shooting started. The humans didn't wait for the landing craft to touch down. They opened fire while the ships were still in the air. Missiles streaked up from hidden positions. 3 landing craft exploded before they reached the ground. OK leaned forward. What are they using? Those are mining explosives. His tactical officer nodded. Sir, they've converted their industrial equipment into weapons. We're detecting rail guns made from mining drills, explosives from excavation charges. They're using everything. The landing craft that survived hit the ground hard. Troops poured out expecting to face a disorganized resistance. Instead, they ran into prepared positions, trenches, bunkers, kill zones. Colonel Minu Park watched from his command post. He had been a soldier his whole life. Before that, his grandfather had been a soldier, and his grandfather before that. Humans had been fighting wars for so long, it was in their blood. Second wave fire, he said calmly into his comm. Hidden artillery opened up. The aliens had shields on their ships, but their troops on the ground had lighter protection. The barrage caught them in the open. Dozens fell. But the aliens kept coming. They had numbers. They had advanced weapons. They thought they had the advantage. They didn't understand about humans and gravity. Nu had heavy gravity, twice what Earth had, 3 times what most alien worlds had. Humans had adapted. Their bodies were stronger here. Their bones were denser. They moved like they were born on this world. The aliens struggled. Their movements were slow. Their aim was off. Every step took effort. Minu's soldiers moved like ghosts, fast, efficient, deadly. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, OK stared at his casualty reports in disbelief. He had lost 4,000 troops. The humans had lost 300. Retreat, he ordered, back to the ships. But retreating wasn't easy. The humans hunted them, picked them off. By the time the surviving aliens made it back to orbit, OK had lost 6,000 troops total. He sent his report to the fleet command. They didn't believe him at first. Captain Lee sat in the cockpit of her fighter. It was small, fast, and lightly armored. Compared to alien fighters, it looked like a toy, but it could do something alien fighters couldn't. It could turn on a dime. And her squadron launched from the Hidden Valley colony. 50 human fighters against 300 alien ships. The odds were bad. Didn't care. Delta formation, she said into her comm. Remember your training, they're bigger and tougher. We're faster and smarter. The alien fighters moved in tight formations. Disciplined, organized. They fired their weapons in coordinated volleys. It was textbook military tactics. Threw her fighter into a spin that would have killed most alien pilots. The G-forces pressed against her chest. Her vision tunneled. But humans had evolved to handle this. Persistence hunters who chased prey for days. Bodies that could take punishment and keep going. She came out of the spin behind an alien fighter and fired. Direct hit. The alien ship exploded. Her squadron followed her lead. They flew patterns that seemed impossible. Loops, spins, sudden stops and reversals. The alien pilots tried to follow but couldn't. The G-forces knocked them unconscious. Their ships flew straight while their pilots were passed out. Human pilots picked them off one by one. The alien fleet commander watched in horror. His fighters were superior in every way. Better weapons, better shields, better armor, but they couldn't hit the human ships. The humans moved too fast, changed direction too quickly. They're insane, his tactical officer said. Those maneuvers should kill them. But they don't, the commander said quietly. He was starting to understand. Humans were different. Their bodies were different. They came from a heavy world with dangerous animals. They had evolved to survive. Squadron lost 12 fighters. They destroyed 147 alien ships. When the aliens retreated, landed her fighter back on the colony. She was exhausted. Her body ached, but she was smiling. They had won. On the mining asteroid called Hope Station, Engineer was having a very bad day. 3 alien warships had surrounded the asteroid. They were demanding surrender. The asteroid had no weapons, no shields, no defenses. Looked at her team of miners and engineers, 20 people total, all civilians. None of them were soldiers. "We can't fight warships," her assistant said. Smiled, "We don't have to fight them. We just have to make them go away." She grabbed a data pad and started drawing. Hope Station was a mining asteroid. They had equipment designed to break apart rocks, move massive boulders, redirect orbital paths. "Get me the main drilling laser," she said, "and prep the mass drivers." Her team looked at her like she was crazy. Then they started to understand. The drilling laser was designed to cut through solid rock. It could burn through 20 meters of stone in a minute. Pointed it at the nearest alien warship and fired. The laser cut through the ship's shields like they weren't there. It burned a hole straight through the hull. Air and debris exploded out into space. The alien commander of the second ship couldn't believe what he was seeing. A mining laser had just destroyed a military warship. That shouldn't be possible. Then the mass drivers opened fire. Mass drivers were used to launch ore containers into space. They could throw 1,000 kilograms of rock at incredible speeds. Steam loaded them with ore and fired. Chunks of metal and stone flew at the alien ships. The ship's shields were designed to stop energy weapons. They weren't designed for solid objects moving at kilometers per second. The impacts shattered shields and punched through armor. The second alien ship lost power. The third ship retreated at full speed. Sat down on the floor of the control room. She was shaking. They had just fought off 3 warships with mining equipment. The reports kept coming into the Galactic Fleet Command. Every colony was fighting back. Every human refused to surrender. The fleet had expected to take 20 colonies in the first week. They had taken 0. Worse, they were losing ships, hundreds of ships. High Chancellor read the reports in his office. He couldn't understand it. Humans were primitives. They had been in space for less than a century. They should be easy to defeat. "Bring me he ordered. An hour later, a scientist stood in his office. That looked like a floating jellyfish. It studied the reports carefully. "Do you understand what's happening?" demanded. "Yes," the scientist said. Its voice was soft and sad. "We made a terrible mistake." "Explain." The scientist pulled up an image of Earth. Humans come from what we classify as a Class 12 death world. That's the highest danger rating. Their planet tried to kill them constantly. Ice ages, predators, diseases, volcanoes, earthquakes. Humans survived all of it. "So they're tough, we knew that." "No, you don't understand," the scientist said. "Look at their evolution. Forward-facing eyes, that's a predator trait. Most intelligent species evolved from prey animals. They have eyes on the sides of their heads to watch for danger. Humans have eyes that face forward, eyes designed for hunting." Felt a chill run down his spine. "Their muscles are designed for endurance," the scientist continued. "They can run for days without stopping. They can function with minimal sleep. They can heal from injuries that would kill most species. They can eat almost anything. They can survive in extreme temperatures." The scientist pulled up more data. "And their psychology. They form pack bonds stronger than almost any species. They will die for each other. They will sacrifice themselves for their group. And when threatened, they don't run. They fight." "But we outnumber them," said. "That doesn't matter to humans. They've spent 10,000 years fighting wars against themselves. They know every tactic, every strategy, every weapon. They've fought in every environment. They've made war into an art form." The scientist looked at with something like pity in its eyes. "You didn't declare war on a primitive species," it said. You declared war on apex predators. Sat in silence for a long time, then he stood up. Double the fleet, he ordered. Send everything we have, we'll crush them with numbers. But even as he gave the order, he felt something he had never felt before. Doubt. In the outer colonies, humans celebrated their victories, but they knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would come back with more ships, more troops, more weapons. Colonel Menu stood on the surface of Nu and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, thousands of alien ships were preparing to attack. He checked his weapon, made sure his armor was sealed, looked at his soldiers. "Get ready," he said. "Round 2 is coming." Dr. Song had never expected to be famous. She was a scientist who studied alien life. She worked in a small lab on Earth, researching how different species evolved. Then the war started and everything changed. The Galactic Council wanted to understand humans. They needed to know why they were losing, so they asked for human experts to explain, volunteered. She stood in a broadcasting studio, looking at the camera. Her message would go out to every species in the galaxy. Billions of aliens would watch this. She took a deep breath. "My name is Dr. Song," she said. "I'm here to tell you about humans, about what we are, about why you're losing this war." She pulled up an image of Earth. "This is our planet. You classify it as a Class 12 death world. That means it's one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. But to us, it's home. We evolved here. We adapted to it. Everything about us is designed for survival." She showed images of human anatomy. "Look at our eyes. They face forward. That's because we're predators. Our ancestors hunted other animals for food. We needed to judge distance, to track movement, to focus on prey." The next image showed a human running. "We're not the fastest species, but we're the best at endurance. Humans can run for days. We can chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. We call it persistence hunting. Our ancestors would track an animal for hours, sometimes days, until it couldn't run anymore." His voice grew stronger. "We can survive in temperatures from freezing to extreme heat. We can eat thousands of different foods. We can heal from injuries that would kill most species. We can function on minimal sleep. We can adapt to almost any environment." She paused, "But that's not what makes us dangerous." The next image showed human history, wars, battles, conflicts spanning thousands of years. "This is what makes us dangerous," said. "We've been fighting wars for 10,000 years, against each other. We've perfected the art of killing. We've invented weapons designed specifically to destroy other humans. We've developed tactics and strategies that span centuries of warfare." She looked directly at the camera. "You think we're primitive because we're young. You think we're weak because we fight each other. You're wrong. We're dangerous because we fight each other. We've learned from thousands of wars. We know every tactic, every strategy, every way to win." The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, aliens watched in silence. Some were scared. Some were angry. All of them were starting to understand. Commander Shin didn't watch the broadcast. He was too busy fighting. He led a special forces team, 12 soldiers trained for deep strike operations. Their mission was simple: go behind enemy lines and cause chaos. They had been behind enemy lines for 3 weeks. No resupply, no reinforcements, just them and their weapons. The alien base was called Outpost. It was a supply depot, guarded by 500 alien troops. It should have been safe, deep in alien territory, far from human space. And his team watched from a ridge overlooking the base. They had walked for 2 weeks to get here, across hostile terrain, through areas that would kill most aliens, but humans could walk forever. "Charges are set," his demolitions expert whispered. Her name was. She had planted explosives around the base's power generators. "Sniper teams in position," reported, his second in command. Checked his weapon one more time. "On my mark, 3, 2, 1, mark." The explosives went off. The base went dark. Aliens rushed out of their buildings, confused and disoriented. Snipers opened fire, precision shots, one target at a time. The aliens tried to organize a defense, but they couldn't see. Humans had brought night vision equipment. The aliens relied on their base's lights. The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it was over, the supply depot was destroyed. 500 alien troops were dead or wounded. His team had 0 casualties. They disappeared into the night, walking toward their next target. Across the galaxy, stories about humans spread. Some were true, some were exaggerated, all of them were terrifying. Pilot Bay became a legend. She was a fighter pilot, one of the best. In 3 months of fighting, she had shot down 50 alien ships. 50. Most pilots never reached 10 kills in their entire career. She flew a ship called the Reaper. It was painted black with red markings. Aliens learned to fear it. When the Reaper appeared, they knew death was coming. Sat in her cockpit waiting for the next battle. Her co-pilot checked the weapon systems. Command says we're outnumbered 5-1, said. Smiled, good, more targets. The alien fleet jumped into the system expecting easy prey. Instead, they found and her squadron. 20 human fighters against 100 alien ships. Dove into the enemy formation. Her fingers danced across the controls. The ship responded instantly, turning and spinning and dodging. Alien weapons fire filled the space around her, but she moved through it like she could see the future. She locked onto an alien fighter and fired. Hit. The ship exploded. She moved to the next target, and the next, and the next. Her squadron followed her lead. They fought like a pack of wolves, coordinated, efficient, deadly. When the battle ended, 37 alien ships were destroyed. The rest retreated. Had personally shot down 8 ships, bringing her total to 58. She broadcast a message on an open channel. This is the Reaper. Tell your command that humans don't quit. We don't surrender. Come at us with 5 ships or 5,000. We'll still be here, still fighting, still winning. The message was recorded, translated, spread across the galaxy. It became a rallying cry for humans. It became a nightmare for aliens. Lieutenant Im had a different mission. She wasn't a pilot or a soldier. She was an intelligence officer. Her job was information. She had infiltrated an alien command station. It wasn't easy. Humans looked very different from most aliens, but was resourceful. She stole an alien uniform, forged identity documents, learned their language perfectly. She walked through the station like she belonged there. Other aliens barely looked at her. She accessed their computer systems, downloaded files, learned their strategies, found out where their fleets were going. Then she sabotaged their communications array and escaped before anyone noticed. The information she gathered saved 3 human colonies. Early warning let them evacuate civilians and prepare defenses. When the alien attack came, they were ready. This report was forwarded to Earth Command. They used it to plan counterattacks, to position fleets, to stay one step ahead. The aliens couldn't understand it. How did humans always seem to know where they would attack? How did they always have defenses ready? They didn't know about and dozens of others like her. Human intelligence officers working behind enemy lines, stealing information, sabotaging equipment, spreading confusion. Humans had learned from thousands of years of spy craft. They were very good at it. The war dragged on. Months turned into a year. The Galactic Council had expected a quick victory. Instead, they were stuck in a grinding conflict. Every battle cost them ships. Every planet cost them troops. The Empire had lost its aura of invincibility. For 3,000 years, they had been the dominant military power. They had never lost a war. Now they were losing to humans. High Chancellor called an emergency meeting. The leaders of the 3 allied powers gathered in a secure location. "We need to end this," said the Supreme Leader. "We've lost 15,000 ships, hundreds of thousands of troops. Our economies are suffering. Our people are losing faith. We can't give up now, argued. If we surrender, we look weak. Every species in the galaxy will challenge us. We already look weak, said the Praxis Collective representative. We've been fighting one species for a year, one species that didn't even have faster-than-light travel a century ago. How much weaker can we look? Slammed his hand on the table. One more push. We throw everything at them, every ship, every weapon. We break them or we die trying. The others exchanged looks. Finally, they nodded. One more push, they agreed. Back on Earth, Admiral received intelligence reports. The aliens were gathering their forces, planning a massive attack. They were going to throw everything at human space. She called a meeting with her staff. Officers filled the command center, looking at tactical displays. They're coming with everything they have, said. Maybe 20,000 ships, maybe more. This is their final push. Can we stop them? Someone asked. Smiled. They still don't understand. They think we've been fighting them with our full military. They don't know the truth. She pulled up a display showing Earth's orbital defenses, shipyards, construction facilities, massive defense stations. The colonists have been fighting this war, she said. The outer colonies, the frontier stations, the merchant ships we converted to warships, but Earth's actual military has been building, preparing, getting ready. She pressed a button. The display showed thousands of ships, new ships, fresh crews, fully armed and ready. It's time to show them what Earth's military can really do, said. Get the fleet ready. We're going on the offensive. Across human space, the message spread. Earth was sending reinforcements. The real military was coming. Soldiers who had trained for years. Ships built specifically for war. Weapons designed to kill. The colonists had been fighting with mining equipment and converted civilian ships. They had held the line. Now it was time for the professionals. Commander stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. The massive carrier was fully loaded. 200 fighters in its bays, weapons charged, shields at maximum. Around him, 2,000 other warships prepared for battle. All ships report ready, his tactical officer said. Nodded, send the message. Earth is done playing defense. We're taking the fight to them. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading toward alien territory, toward the war, toward victory. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you made humanity angry. The alien fleet gathered at the border of human space, 23,000 warships, the largest military force assembled in 300 years. High Chancellor stood on the bridge of his flagship looking at the tactical display. This was it, the final push. They would crush humanity once and for all. All ships report ready, his tactical officer said. Begin the attack, ordered. The fleet moved forward, thousands of ships advancing in formation, disciplined, organized, overwhelming. Then the sensors started screaming. Sir, we have contacts, the tactical officer said. His voice was shaking. Multiple contacts, hundreds, no, thousands of ships. Stared at the display. Human ships were appearing everywhere, not the small converted civilian ships they had been fighting. These were military vessels, warships, carriers, battleships, destroyers. How many? Demanded. The tactical officer checked his sensors 3 times. 2,000 ships, sir, all military grade. Felt his blood run cold. For a year, they had been fighting human colonists, miners and farmers with converted equipment. They had never faced Earth's actual military. Where did they get 2,000 warships? He whispered. The answer was simple. While the aliens were attacking colonies, Earth had been building, every shipyard working at full capacity, every factory producing weapons, every resource dedicated to one goal, survival. Fleet Admiral commanded the Earth Retaliation Fleet from his flagship, the Dauntless. It was the largest warship humanity had ever built. 3 kilometers long, armed with weapons that could destroy a city in seconds. He looked at the alien fleet on his display. They outnumbered his forces 10-1, but numbers didn't matter anymore. "All ships weapons-free," he said calmly. "Let's show them what Earth can do." The human fleet opened fire. Missiles streaked across space. Rail guns fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. Energy weapons cut through the darkness. The aliens returned fire. The space between the two fleets lit up with weapons fire. Ships exploded. Shields failed. Hulls ruptured. But something was different this time. The human ships fought with precision the aliens had never seen. Coordinated attacks, perfect timing. Every shot counted. Watched the battle unfold. His tactical officer called out targets. "Enemy carrier, Section 7. 3 battleships moving to flank us." "Delta Squadron, take out that carrier," ordered. 3, intercept those battleships." His orders were instant. His crews were ready. They had trained for this moment, every simulation, every exercise, all leading to this battle. The human fleet moved like a living thing. Ships covered each other. Fighters swarmed enemy vessels. Capital ships focused fire on high-value targets. They didn't fight fair. They fought to win. The alien fleet started to fall apart. Their formations broke. Their coordination failed. Ships retreated without orders, creating gaps in their lines. Watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. They had more ships, better technology, but the humans fought like demons. "Pull back," he ordered. "Reform the lines." But it was too late. The human fleet pressed the advantage. They didn't let the aliens retreat. They hunted them down. While the main fleets fought, sat in a small ship far from the battle. He was a cyber warfare specialist. His job was to break things, digital things. He looked at his screens. Lines of code scrolled past, alien communication networks, supply line data, fleet coordination systems, all of it vulnerable. "Let's see how well they fight when they can't talk to each other," he muttered. His fingers flew across the keyboard. He had been studying alien systems for months, learning their weaknesses, finding their flaws. He launched his attack. A virus spread through the alien network, not destructive, just confusing. It changed orders, rerouted supplies, made ships think they were going to one place when command wanted them somewhere else. The alien fleet descended into chaos. Ships moved to the wrong positions. Supply ships went to empty coordinates. Fighters launched without knowing where their targets were. Smiled information warfare. Humans invented that too. On the political front, diplomat Yang was working her own kind of magic. She sat in a luxurious office on a neutral station, meeting with representatives from minor alien species. "The Empire has dragged you into their war," she said to the ambassador from the Republic. "How many of your ships have you lost? How much has this cost your economy?" The ambassador looked uncomfortable. "Many ships, much money, but we are allied with the—" "Allied?" leaned forward. "Or forced. They threatened you, didn't they? Said you had to join them or face consequences." The ambassador didn't deny it. "Humanity doesn't want to fight you," continued. "We want peace with the people. This is the war. Why should your people die for their arrogance?" She held out a data pad. "This is a peace treaty between Earth and the Republic. We will withdraw all military forces from your space. We will open trade. We will forget this war ever happened. All you have to do is stop fighting." The ambassador took the data pad. "Read it carefully. They will be angry." "They are losing," said simply. "In 6 months they won't have the power to threaten anyone, but Earth will remember who our friends were and who our enemies were." The ambassador left to consult with his government. 3 days later, the Republic signed the treaty. They from the war moved to the next species, then the next. One by one, she broke apart the alien coalition, offering peace, offering trade, offering friendship, anything except submission. The Dominion was the first major power to crack. They had lost thousands of ships. Their economy was collapsing. Their people were protesting the war. "We can't win," the supreme leader said in a secret meeting with his council. "They promised us a quick victory. It's been over a year. We've lost 10,000 ships, and now Earth's real military is fighting. We can't beat them. If we surrender, they will never forgive us," one counselor said. "If we don't surrender, we'll be destroyed," the supreme leader replied. "Contact the humans. Tell them we want peace." The message reached Admiral on Earth. She read it twice, then smiled. "Accept their surrender," she ordered, "and offer them a trade agreement. Make it generous. We want them to see that peace with Earth is better than war with Earth." The Dominion from the war. Suddenly, the alien coalition was falling apart. The Praxis Collective saw what was happening. They had never wanted this war. They had joined because the forced them to. Now they saw their chance to escape. "We made a mistake," the Praxis Collective representative said in an emergency broadcast. "Humanity is not our enemy. We formally withdraw from this conflict and ask for peace." Commander led the assault on the home system. The Indomitable and 50 other ships jumped into Prime's orbit, the capital world of the Empire, the heart of their power. For 3,000 years, no enemy had reached this planet. Now humans were here. The System Defense Fleet tried to stop them, 200 ships against 50, but the human ships were better, faster, more advanced. They had learned from a year of war. Every battle had taught them something new. Watched his tactical display. Target their command ships first, cut off their coordination. His ships moved with precision. They had practiced this assault for weeks. Every pilot knew their role. Every gunner knew their targets. The defense fleet fell apart. Some ships fought to the death, others surrendered, a few tried to run. Within 4 hours, the Indomitable was in orbit over Prime, opened a communication channel to the planet. "This is commander of the Earth warship Indomitable," he said. His voice was calm but hard. "Your fleet is destroyed. Your allies have abandoned you. You have one chance to end this. Surrender now, or we will destroy every military installation on this planet." On the planet's surface, High Chancellor sat in his office. He looked old, tired, defeated. "We were the strongest empire in the galaxy," he said quietly. "For 3,000 years no one could challenge us, and these humans, these primitives, they destroyed us in 1 year." His advisors sat in silence. There was nothing to say. The war was over. They had lost. "Open a channel," said. "I will speak to the humans." His communication officer alerted him. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet. It's the High Chancellor." "Put him on screen," said. His face appeared. He looked smaller somehow, less imposing than before. "Commander," he said, "the Empire surrenders. We will accept your terms, please. No more death." Felt no joy in the victory, only exhaustion. "We will send representatives to negotiate the terms. Stand down all military forces. Any ship that fires will be destroyed." "Understood," said. The transmission ended. Sat back in his chair. Around him his crew was silent. They had won, but the cost had been high. "Send a message to Earth Command," said. "The war is over. We won." Across human space the news spread. People celebrated, cried, mourned. Over 2 million humans had died in the war. Soldiers, civilians, colonists, heroes. But they had survived. Against an empire that had ruled for 3,000 years, against a coalition of the galaxy's strongest powers, humanity had fought and won. On Earth, President Jinnah addressed the planet. "Today we prove that humanity will not surrender, will not submit, will not bow to anyone. We paid a terrible price, but we earned something more valuable than victory. We earned respect." She paused, looking into the camera. "Let this be a lesson to the galaxy. We came to the stars in peace. We wanted to explore, to learn, to grow, but when threatened we will fight, and we will win. This is who we are. This is what we do. We are human." The message was translated into every language in the galaxy. Every species heard it. Every world understood. Don't threaten humanity. Don't back them into a corner. Don't make them fight. Because if you do, you'll lose. Ambassador Sorahan walked through the halls of the Galactic Council station. It looked different now. Quieter. Empty sections where species used to gather. Damaged walls that hadn't been repaired. The war had changed everything. She entered the main chamber. It was the same room where the war had started, where High Chancellor had given his ultimatum, where the Council had voted for war. Now they were voting for peace. The chamber was only half full. Many species had withdrawn from the Council. Some had sided with humanity. Others had stayed neutral. The ones that remained looked defeated. Stood at the center. He was in chains, a prisoner in the very chamber where he once ruled. His silver fur was dull. His eyes were empty. "The Empire accepts all terms of surrender," he said. His voice was barely a whisper. "We will pay reparations. We will disarm our military. We will submit to human oversight." Sora felt no satisfaction in his defeat. She had warned them, told them not to threaten humanity. They hadn't listened. "The terms are accepted," she said formally. "The Galactic Council recognizes Earth as a sovereign power. All human colonies are recognized as legitimate. All previous restrictions on humanity are removed." She paused, looking around the chamber. "And one more thing. The Council will establish a new position, the Human Warden. This position will have the authority to prevent any species from threatening another with extinction, to stop wars before they start, to keep the peace." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some aliens looked angry, others looked relieved. All of them understood what this meant. Humanity was now the galaxy's police force. "Who will hold this position?" an alien representative asked. "Admiral," Sora said. "She will command a fleet dedicated to peacekeeping operations. Any species that starts an aggressive war will answer to her." The vote was taken. The position was established. The galaxy had a new order. High Chancellor was led away. His empire was broken. They would never again be the dominant power. They would be watched, controlled, reduced to just another species in the galaxy. As he left the chamber, he stopped next to Sora. "We made a terrible mistake," he said quietly. "Yes," Sora agreed, "you did." "I still don't understand," said. "How did you do it? How did primitives defeat us?" Sora looked at him with something like pity. "Because you never understood what you were fighting. You thought we were weak because we're young. You thought we were primitive because we fight each other. But that's exactly why we won. We've spent 10,000 years perfecting warfare. You had 3,000 years of peace. We had 3,000 years of war." She walked away, leaving him to think about that. Admiral stood on the bridge of her new flagship. It wasn't the Indomitable. That ship had been retired with honor, placed in a museum. Her new ship was called the Guardian. It was bigger, more powerful, built specifically for her new mission. Around her, a fleet of 300 ships waited. The peacekeeping fleet, ships from Earth and from allied species, all dedicated to preventing another war like the one they had just fought. "Admiral, we have a distress call," her communication officer said. "The Republic is reporting pirate attacks on their trade routes." Nodded, "Set course. Let's go protect our allies." The Guardian and its escort ships jumped to hyperspace. Within hours, they arrived at the system. A dozen pirate ships were attacking civilian transports, small, fast ships designed for hit-and-run attacks. The pirates saw the Guardian arrive and immediately tried to run. They weren't fast enough. "Disable their engines," ordered. "I want prisoners, not bodies." Her weapons officers fired with precision. The pirate ships went dead in space, their engines destroyed but their crews alive. "Security forces are en route to take custody," her tactical officer reported. Opened a channel to the pirate ships. "This is Admiral of the Peacekeeping Fleet. You chose the wrong day to attack innocent people. You're under arrest. Any resistance will be met with force." The pirates surrendered immediately. No one wanted to fight humans. Back on Earth, President Jinnah worked on rebuilding. The war had cost them 2 million lives, hundreds of ships, dozens of colonies damaged or destroyed, but they had survived. She met with her council in the rebuilt government building. "We need to focus on 3 things," she said. "First, rebuilding. We repair our colonies. We help our allies repair theirs. We show the galaxy that we're not just warriors. We're builders too." She pulled up a display. "Second, we establish trade networks. The galaxy has been operating under trade rules for thousands of years. Those rules favored them. We're going to create fair trade, open markets, equal opportunity for all species." The third point was harder. "And we need to remember. We build memorials. We honor the dead. We make sure future generations understand the cost of this war. 2 million humans died because the galaxy threatened us. We never forget that." Her council nodded. The work would take years, maybe decades, but humanity had time now. They had proven they belonged in the galaxy. No one would threaten them again. Commander retired from military service. He had fought in the war, led the assault on Prime, earned more medals than he could count. Now he was tired. He opened a small school on New Colony, the same planet where Colonel Minu had fought the first battle, the same planet that had refused to surrender. He taught history, military strategy, told his students about the war, about the cost, about why they fought. "We didn't want this war," he would tell them. "We wanted peace. But when someone threatens your home, your family, your freedom, you fight. You fight with everything you have, and you don't stop until you win." His students listened carefully. Some would become soldiers, others would become diplomats, engineers, scientists, explorers, but all of them would remember his lessons. Never start a fight, but always finish one. Dr. Song continued her work. She studied alien species, helped them understand humans, helped humans understand aliens. She became a bridge between worlds. She gave lectures across the galaxy, explained human evolution, human psychology, human culture. Slowly, aliens started to understand. Humans weren't monsters, they were just survivors. "We're not that different," she would say. "We all want to live, to grow, to protect our families. The difference is humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us constantly. We adapted. We became very good at survival. Too good, maybe." She made friends with alien scientists, worked on joint research projects, proved that different species could work together, learn from each other. Captain Lee, the pilot who had become a legend, continued flying. But now she flew diplomatic missions, showing off human technology, training allied pilots, building relationships. She still flew the Reaper, but now it was painted with symbols of peace instead of war. Children from different species would come to see it, touch it, ask her questions. "Were you scared during the war?" a young alien child asked her once. Thought about it carefully. "Yes, I was scared every time I flew, but I flew anyway, because my people needed me. That's what courage is, being scared but doing it anyway." Lieutenant Im became the head of the Diplomatic Intelligence Service. She trained a new generation of intelligence officers, but their mission was different now. Not sabotage, not stealing secrets. Instead, they gathered information to prevent wars, to find problems before they became conflicts. "Information is power," she would tell her students. "But how you use that power matters. We don't use it to hurt people. We use it to help them, to stop wars before they start." Across the galaxy, life slowly returned to normal. Trade resumed. Borders reopened. Species that had been enemies started talking again. But everyone remembered the war. Everyone knew what had happened. The galaxy had challenged humanity, and humanity had won. 5 years after the war ended, the Galactic Council held a special ceremony. They were unveiling a memorial, a massive structure in the center of the council station. It listed the names of every person who died in the war, human and alien, soldier and civilian. 2 million human names, 40 million alien names, each one a life lost, a family destroyed, a future erased. Ambassador Sora stood before the memorial with other representatives. They held a moment of silence. Then she spoke. "We built this memorial so we never forget," she said. "So we remember the cost of arrogance, the price of fear, the tragedy of war." She looked around at the gathered aliens, species that had fought against humanity, species that had stayed neutral, species that had become allies. "The Galactic Council made a choice 5 years ago," she continued. "They chose to threaten humanity, to demand our surrender, to wage war rather than seek peace. That choice cost 42 million lives." She paused, letting that number sink in. "But we also made a choice. We chose to defend ourselves. We chose to fight back. We chose to survive. And when we won, we chose mercy. We could have destroyed the Empire, enslaved them, made them suffer as they tried to make us suffer, but we didn't. We offered peace instead." She placed her hand on the memorial. "Let this be our legacy, not just that humanity won a war, but that we ended it with honor. We showed the galaxy that strength doesn't mean cruelty, that winning doesn't mean revenge, that power should be used to protect, not to dominate." The ceremony ended. People slowly walked away, but many stayed, looking at the names, remembering. An alien child stood next to their parent, looking up at the memorial. "Why did the war happen?" the child asked. The parent was quiet for a moment. "Because the council was afraid, afraid of humans, afraid of change, afraid of losing power, so they tried to stop it, to control it. But you can't control fear with threats. You can't control strength with arrogance." "Did the humans want the war?" the child asked. "No," the parent said. "Nobody wanted the war, but it happened anyway. And now we have to live with what we did, what we learned." "What did we learn?" The parent looked down at their child. "That humans are dangerous, but not because they're violent or cruel. They're dangerous because they come from a world that tried to kill them for millions of years, and they survived. They adapted. They became the apex predators of their planet." The parent gestured to the memorial. "And when you threaten an apex predator, when you back them into a corner, they don't surrender. They fight. They fight with everything they have. And they win." The child looked thoughtful. "So we should be afraid of humans?" "No," the parent said gently. "We should respect them, work with them, be their friends. Because humanity proved something in this war. They proved they're strong enough to destroy their enemies, but wise enough not to." Years passed, decades, the war became history. Children learned about it in schools. The empire recovered slowly, humbled but not broken. Trade flourished. Technology advanced. New species joined the galactic community. And always the Guardian patrolled the stars. Admiral eventually retired, but another human took her place. Then another. The position of human warden became permanent, a reminder, a promise, a threat. Never again would one species threaten another with extinction. Never again would the strong prey on the weak. Never again would arrogance lead to war. Because humanity was watching, and humanity remembered. On Earth, in the Museum of Interstellar History, visitors could see the Indomitable, the mighty warship that had led the assault on Prime. Children would run up to it, touching its hull, asking their parents questions. A plaque stood in front of the ship. It read, "Humanity came to the stars seeking peace. We found war instead, but through that war we proved who we are. Not conquerors, not tyrants, but survivors, defenders, protectors. We are human, and we will never surrender." The galaxy had learned its lesson. The hard way, the expensive way, the tragic way. Congratulations, Galaxy. You declared war on the most deadly species alive. And you lost.